Yeah, hello and welcome to another MCO update on Ethereum. I thought it makes sense to provide another update because Ethereum is moving closer and closer to the target I provided in the last few days. We'll take a look at that. We'll start here briefly on the daily time frame just so that everybody is on the same page. Quick reminder, the move to the upside on the Ethereum chart is extremely choppy. The entire move up, honestly, from the 2022 low is extremely messy, choppy, overlapping, not very impressive. Momentum is quite weak overall. It's been outperformed by many other coins, but the hope is still that Ethereum at some point will not only turn around, but start to outperform Bitcoin a little bit. We're not at that point yet. The current thesis is still that some kind of a low has formed here in April. That could be a fourth wave pullback in a larger diagonal pattern, but this structure has problems. The correction, the pullback is too deep to be clearly a wave 4 correction. So while that is a valid thesis, a valid assumption, a valid scenario, it still is a very deep correction. So it could be something different. I'm not ruling out a more bearish interpretation, but for now, the focus is on higher prices as long as the support levels are holding, which they are. And on the smaller time frame, I will give you the relevant micro support levels. So I believe Ethereum is more a chart that really, if you are trading it, it's more really for short-term trading at the moment. There is really, I don't see any reason to, for example, favor Ethereum over Bitcoin. Now, that's just my view. That can change, especially when Ethereum starts to outperform Bitcoin. But the fact is, the data is clear. I'm not telling you that. That's the data telling us. Ethereum is still being outperformed by Bitcoin. And we can see that when we take a look at the so-called ETH BTC chart. You can still see that while there is a potential for a bounce, the trend is still down. And there is nothing that would suggest in this entire move, in this downtrend from the 2021 high, there is nothing that currently tells us that Ethereum is starting to outperform Bitcoin. Resistance is between 0.026 and 0.0397. You might ask, what is that chart? It tells us that if Ethereum BTC is in a downtrend, then Ethereum is weaker than Bitcoin. Once it starts to go up, that's Ethereum being stronger than Bitcoin. But the wave count, the Elliott wave structure, tells us there is resistance between 0.026 and 0.0397. And as long as we are below that box, the pressure is downward. And any rally would just be seen as a corrective rally, basically like a bounce, like similar to what happened between June 2022 and August 2022. Now, that is something that's due. That is something that's expected. But it really hasn't started yet. And maybe it starts from here. I mean, again, it's due. But honestly, if we zoom in, there isn't anything significant here. Nothing that would tell us that this has started. But I'm obviously watching for it, but can't call this wave 4 has started yet. Now let's also take a look at the shorter time frame for Ethereum. Ethereum is, if you watched previous updates, Ethereum is likely in a third wave rally. Now this is the microstructure, so when you watch the video, maybe we've already reached target. We certainly have reached the next Fibonacci level, the next resistance level here at 1,872. But Ethereum has not yet reached my first ideal target for this third wave, which in previous updates I called out at $1,925. The support area did hold. That is what I communicated as key support for upside trend continuation. Well, from when the market broke out there on the 22nd of April, above the previous swing highs from the 14th of April and the 9th of April. So the short-term pressure is up. And earlier today, I already communicated that the microstructure suggests that the trend is up and we're now moving up in this fifth wave of Circle Wave C. Now, I'd really like to see it get to at least 1925. And afterwards, there should still be another 4-5 pattern to complete all 5 waves in wave A. Now, important to understand, an A wave can be a 3-wave move. So the risk is always that it's forming an early price top. But for now, as long as support is holding, the focus is on higher prices. One more high, and then I would get cautious because that means from then that moment onwards, even the wave 3 could be complete. I will provide support for wave 4 once we have reached that level. That's the update on Ethereum. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.